dictate how your opponents want to ban against you. Sometimes when you're on that red side, there is that bit of pressure, right? My opponents are good in certain heroes, we have to ban it out, but sometimes you can force trades, like, alright, we'll leave two choices on the table. Do you want to take the red pill or do you want to take the blue pill? And I think EVO Esports now, they have the dictatorship to do that.
Yeah, exactly so. And as we take a look at EVO Esports, they've already unveiled their very first ban, and therefore I wonder what Tiger or WONG would actually respond with. And we're already seeing them actually going in for a 1-1 ban.
Yeah, very, very straightforward. Very surprising that EVO Esports are thinking and actually went for the Far Miss ban. We actually, I think the new patch has already went live. And just for all of our audience out there, if you are wondering, is Arlot available? Right now, no. But teams can start picking Arlot when the challenge group stage roll around. So just be a bit more patient. You would see that incredibly busted XP lane very soon, but you just gotta be a bit more patient. Edith, though, getting banned, loving this one, has been incredibly popular, very tanky, deals a crap ton of damage. The only thing that she lacks is mobility, but honestly, not too big of a deal if you can just smash your lane early on.
True enough, and then overall, I think like this also opens up so much opportunity to really dictate the final ban and leave so many options available for EVO Esports when it comes down to the first pick, because now pressure is on the side of TUPAI Esports, where you really start to consider you want to negate any form of threat coming in, and looks like they do respect the Fanny coming out of EVO Esports, as they will be removing that from play.
Yeah, I honestly was thinking whether if that Fanny ban is going to appear on EVO's side, because TUPAI Esports, they do play the Fanny, they do play assassin junglers, right? You have the Ling, I believe, that they did play, that I believe Gugun, he did play the Ling in one of the games last week, and that was kind of a complete wipeout. So that one is still on the table, whereas for EVO Esports, now you really gotta start thinking. You have the Glue, you have the Eve, you have the Joy, you have the Fredrin, all of them are still on the table, and EVO Esports, they go for the Kaja ban. Which is an indicator that maybe they are considering a potential assassin jungler. You have the higher booster still on the table as well.
Yeah, that's definitely a high threat pickup where we did get ourselves a final ban. I believe that's a Joy?
Yeah, there is a Joy ban.
Yeah, and now, immediately they go into lock in the Glue, and EVO Esports, they really want to gel things up all together. But Tiger WONG, they have that priority over on the Moscow because they left it out in the open. And you just look at the win ratios, 78%. I believe that EVO Esports might be sweating a little bit, but we still have a lot of great options when it comes down to mid lane. And we're also looking at things that you need to counter this Frederick.
Yeah, it is kind of like the trade. I think EVO Esports are really considering, like, who do you want to let go? And honestly, I think Blue is not too bad of a pick. They had the Martyrs as well. This one is going into the jungle for sure. Very strong jungler. Just the crowd control immunity itself can be very, very annoying to deal with. Though the Moskov does solve a bit of that Glue problem when he goes into that ultimate and splits into little blobs. Your piercing bolts can definitely destroy him if you manage to land a couple of auto attacks. But the Claude coming through is something that we haven't seen from EVO Esports. It has been picked only 3 times across 6 series so far. It's the 4th time that we will see him on field.
Yeah, as for EVO Esports on the first phase itself, it's already giving you a little bit of hindsight of how they really want to handle all these team fights, where you try to lead in with the Glue, and then after that, you set up for a really good decimate if it's possible, and you definitely have the Claw to wither them down. Just running through the gauntlet. And TUPAI Esports just have such an amazing draft so far. They've been landing their hands on the Valentina, so whatever EVO Esports can do, they can opt to do the same with her around.
And now you immediately see the Farsal ban, right? There's not too much choices for Mage left on the table. I think TUPAI Esports are not too worried about that roamer for now. They haven't reviewed their XP lane, they haven't reviewed their roamer. Whereas for EVO Esports, they've already reviewed, I believe the Glue could be an XP lane or a roamer, but essentially they've reviewed both marksman and jungler, right? So Lapu Lapu gets banned, the E finally makes it to the final ban from TUPAI Esports. I was waiting for that to come true. And right now, EVO Esports, they actually don't have too much of a choice. You gotta somehow secure that XP lane. This is the team that plays the Dyrov, and it is the only team so far that's played an XP Dyrov. There is still a window for that, right? If you put this Glue on the roam roll, then you can see the Dyrov XP, but I don't know how good it's going to be. Actually, not EVO, sorry. That was Miracle Gaming. EVO doesn't play direct off that. I just remembered. But either way, this is not going to be an easy ban. So they banned the Yuzhong, strong XP laner that Tiger Wong would consider. Not much choices left on the table though.
Yeah, and looking at the options available, I'm wondering what does Tiger Wong do with it, because they've already watered down the mid lane option, and therefore EVO Esports is currently scratching their head. You still need something with a little bit more of that crowd control for a setup for EVO Esports, where I think like when it comes down to damage numbers, they are already in check. Whereas Tiger Wong, they also do need a massive frontliner for themselves, so that when it comes down to battles, they will be able to do much, much more. They're going to leave it down to the very final few seconds to go in for this pick, and Sapphire was just taking his sweet time. I wonder what exactly will be the best case scenario here, and they went in for the Terizla. Just what they needed.
First Terizla of the entire Open Finals, and honestly, there's not too much choices. All your great XP laners have been banned out. No Lapu, no Yuzhong, no Joy. It's kind of, you know, in his spot, right? There's only so much XP laners that teams prefer, so we kind of are going down the hierarchy. Though I think Terizla isn't too bad of a pick. If you can get the penalty zone, then you definitely give the rest of your team a lot of avenues to work with. But the thing that Terizla lacks is definitely mobility. So EVO Esports, they have that Julian. It's not easy to catch, and they have the Ruby to really play disruption, you know, in those team fights. One thing to stop that though is definitely the Kufra. Hard counter to Ruby, you basically shut her entire passive down. So Tiger Wong Esports still have a couple of solutions.
I really do love how each team is coming with some pretty big, massive idea of how they really want to handle those team fights. For Tiger Wong Esports, they will try to look for those picks, especially if you do get some really good setups coming in from the Kufra. Whereas when it comes down to EVO Esports, it's just full-on 5 versus 5. Tiger Wong still has a couple of options where they're looking for certain splits as well. And remember this, if you let Tiger Wong Esports scale into the late game, you just got massive damage numbers to be offered from all of their members.
And watch out for Valentina. I think that one ultimate that she wants to steal is definitely the Ruby ult. That could really turn the game around. And it is, I think, the first time that we are seeing the Julian mid as well from EVO Esports. And this is where it gets interesting, right? We get a fresh patch. We get kind of a fresh week. Teams have been able to do a couple of prep. And we get to see how they are going to really show up this lower bracket.
That's right, and I just definitely want to keep my eyeballs on EVO Esports, where when it came down to the draft itself, we thought that they would actually go in for, you know, the golden tree ratios where we saw on the win rates, where Fredrin was left available. They didn't go in for that insta-lock, but they pick up Glue, which is something that's really strong for them to be able to sustain. And I think like they do have some high confidence in this form of draft itself, where they are really relying on those 5 versus 5 on those main objectives. So when it comes down to lot battles, I think like that's where it's gonna be very, very explosive from both sides.
Yeah, I think that Julian really has to get a decent lead for himself. I'm expecting that this Julian is most likely going to go for the mystery shop. You hit your item spikes quicker, and you just am able to do a lot more. But again, from the side of Tiger Wong, there are ways to stop all these the entire draft of EVO Esports. One Kufra bouncing ball, it stops so much that EVO wants to do, considering that almost the entire team has some form of dash. So I'm looking for Daddy Dudedo on this Kufra to really kind of nail it onto EVO Esports. We'll see though if EVO can show us something different. It's game number 1 of this lower bracket series, EVO Esports against Tiger Wong Esports.
That's right, let's get it on, as we are already seeing both sides being up close and personal. First, it's just a little bit of calm before the storm, where they're just establishing a little bit of middle control, where Daddy Dudedo has already zoned Zamri off the way, whereas Zamri could only hold back ever so slightly. You can see Flash One already getting significant pokes coming in for this Julian.
Yeah, it's one of the banes of Julian, you know. Before level 3, it's very hard for you to lane. The skills are great cooldown, you don't necessarily do a lot of damage, your range is very short, and obviously the bulk of your power comes from having level 3, being able to cast all 3 skills at once and kind of juggle with that passive. So prior to that, we are definitely expecting Flash One to not have lane priority. And early invade comes in, Zanri already dropping low, and Rin's able to push him out of that jungle. Can't get any invade done, but Tiger Wong are off to a decent start.
Yeah, and I love that it also gave a lot of room for respect, because what could you possibly do? You can burst Ruby so early on in the game, and therefore giving a little bit more territory to work with. But we do see a big catch onto Opper. Well, they should be able to walk away. They understand that they still need to actually get into the right levels. Once they do have their Elden Stone, I think like that could be quite the huge pickoff. Whereas now a little bit of a battle for the little wander. Whereas over on the top end of the spectrum of the map, we see pretty much a stable lane going for Gugun Shira, as well as, well, what I do believe is Claude, where Biston will be on the hero.
Yeah, so far, Biston has been really showing up in the games that matter. But, you know, Sappho, he was the only guy that got a Savage, I believe. Actually, was Sappho? I don't remember. But I remember there was a Savage last week. Either way, Turtle fight going to kind of be started. An instant engage onto that glue. Oppa having to use that flicker to get out. You see that Moskov comes through a good Ruby pull on the tree. Tiger Wong Esports though playing this cool, calm and collected, no rush needed, and just like that they've been able to force EVO Esports away.
Yeah, as they go on for a quick reset, they will not be able to contest for Turtle for the time being, whereas Opper is still in a pretty dangerous situation where he could be able to be close to the pond on. Whereas the rest of EVO Esports will have to react into this Turtle takedown where Tiger Wong is currently giving them a little challenge. Daddy Dudedo spots out 3 though.
Yes, very easy Turtle take. Oppa didn't have flicker, didn't have that ultimate, so there's no way that they can contest this. And Tiger Wong, they didn't have to use much, you know, in that exchange. So it's a very collected objective take. EVO Esports already kind of, you know, struggling, trying to find a window in. And while that was happening, I just realized that Flash One actually took that Petrify. So he's really looking to make those plays happen, but he's not given space.
Yeah, not at all. We just look at the course of the battle for the time being. It's Biston getting chased upon, but the rest of EVO Esports reacts, and they secure the first blood for Flash One.
That's the Petrify going to work. Flash One getting that first blood, icing on the cake. That's what you want as a Julian. I actually went for the Magic Worship instead of the Mystery Shop, so a lot more burst, which is completely fine. You have 3 bulky members on the side of Tiger Wong, and once you get that third item, you can definitely kind of shred. I think we were looking for the Genius One item timing for Flash One, but this is the start that you want. And now he's going to be able to shove up that wave and really start matching Rins in that mid lane.
Yeah, it's so crucial for him to be able to get that pick itself. Now he will be able to ramp up this speed, where we saw early on they were trying to suppress him overall over in mid lane. And now that being said, Tiger Wong did get that turtle as well. We do have, you know, slight advantages coming in with the goal as well as EXP for the time being. But eventually, EVO Esports, if they continue to find those opening of the pick, they can rinse and repeat, and they're already eyeing onto this Terizla. Still very difficult to dive at Terizla in particular. I don't think that they really want to overcommit for this. Whereas, over on the top end, EVO Esports got to respond.
Looking for a dive. Saffrio keeping his distance. It's a decent attempt. They have that cannon. They have that ranged minion, but unfortunately, you just cannot get close. Not with Zanri hanging around. Because they're on top side, they do concede turtle control. The EVO Esports, they are already ready. Well, at least they have Opper at the vicinity, but Tiger Wong Esports making a beeline towards their objective.
For the time being, the rest of EVO Esports seemingly have spotted out Rexley, but they know that this is still a little bit of a dicey situation. They don't really have everybody out there, as we do see the Julian to be over our top lane, and that's where it's just a little bit of a tug of war going on before anybody fully commits. But Tiger Wong, they do have the numbers advantage if they really want to go for it.
And now Tiger Wong having to take this fight. They're able to pull the glue in, but it is a glue though. Oppa able to survive through the initial burst, and a good pull from Zanri, dragging Tiger Wong Esports in. The full fight breaks out. You have that ultimate from this Kufra, and he will pick up the kill onto your name. Martis is already down. Valentina chasing down Zanri. Flash one, can you do enough though? It's only one kill. Unfortunately, one is just two less in the situation. A flicker forward from Dadidu, landing onto Flash one, forcing him backwards. Tiger Wong Esports not wanting to give up on this kill. This Julian is pretty much done and dusted. They knock him back into a wall, and it's 4 for Tiger Wong.
My goodness, they just basically baited the entirety of EVO Esports to be cornered up, and then you just see a perfect initiation coming from Dadidu as well, just clipping each one of them, and there's just not much wiggle room for them to actually run out. And for most part, majority of them don't really carry a flicker, and even when they do, most of them not. They're not even mobile enough to actually get right in. This is where EVO Esports, they're trying to find an opening, but there's still overwhelming numbers coming from Tiger Wong. Another turtle for Tiger Wong Esports.
This is the Tiger Wong that we saw last week, and they're still on form. One of the banes of EVO Esports right now is, sure, you have a team fight, the comp, but fighting into Tiger Wong is very, very hard because you have skills like Penalty Zone, you have the Valentina Fear, you have the Fredrin in the mix. It is so hard to kind of stack up. You kind of want to do that, but Tiger Wong Esports draft completely stops it. And you can see that EVO Esports, they committed every single spell for Tiger Wong. But in the end, the only person that they really took down was Gugun Seishiro, was the Fredrin, while the entire team was getting whittled down by the rest of Tiger Wong, and they just didn't have the damage to cut through all these meat shoes.
Yeah, and on top of that, I really had to commend once again the Tyrant's Rage was absolutely on point, knocking a few members over the corner wall. Now, back to the game as we go, 4-2. Though it was pretty much of a stable start coming from EVO Esports, I really want to see them putting a little bit more priority when it comes down to these objectives, because they're really giving too much with leeway. And now Tiger Wong Esports, they're already knocking by the corner of the door, and they're hoping to catch Resley, bringing him down, but this Valentina is just too strong.
Once more, they just do not have the damage. You need Piston to be around to even have a chance. The Terizla is incredibly beefy, and Gugun, he just caught Flash 1, and the Appraisal Ray right in his face. It's a 1,100 damage. And mid lane, while Tiger Wong, they just dive to tier 1 because they are so resilient. And look at that, they're juggling the aggro perfectly. Your name can't even find an execute, and Gugun, he is between the two turrets, and he doesn't really care. This is so far a beatdown from Tiger Wong.
Yeah, this is not what I was really expecting heading into game 1. Though they did manage to secure a Demon Hunter Sword coming in online for the side of South Korea, and he's just going to hurt even more, having so much sustain already in the bag. Nothing much that they can do but to let that turret go. And EVO Esports just got to find an opening window. Now, Tiger Wong Esports is looking to secure the very first Lord. It's not empowered just yet, so perhaps this doesn't really entice them that much.
And I don't think they want to risk it either. Tiger Wong gets a free Lord. 9 minutes in, they already have that driver's seat control. Biston arriving too late on the scene. Biston, you are alone, my friend. Does have that port to get out. But Tiger Wong Esports, so far, almost a 7,000 gold advantage in under 10 minutes.
Yeah, overall, just ramping up to speed of what they really needed to do. Whereas, when it comes down to EVO Esports, it's only down to, you know, small little windows of mistakes that have put them into an unfavorable position. Whereas for Tiger Wong, I think they have already plotted out all these proactive moves across the map, and now they can go in for a little bit more of a split now that the Lord is slowly marching away. Oh, Biston, he's in trouble.
Thought he could get out. Dadidu from the corner clips it. And EVO Esports already losing that marksman. This is pretty much a done deal unless Zanri can save the game, able to knock them back. I mean, your name doing his best, but it's a wild Moskov coming in from behind, and then Appraisal's Rave almost killing the Martis. Tiger Wong Esports trading 1, but they get 2.
My goodness. Just look at how lethal they are. Safro just got so much spacing hitting into the back of the tower itself. And then when it comes down to that opening initiation, it just looks to be pretty difficult for EVO Esports to even handle, especially when you have your claw to be caught out like that. Lord will slowly wear it down, but they are looking to secure their turret. And my word,
the Moskov ult. I think it hit the glue in his ultimate, and I mean the spread damage just kills him. Your name not long for the war as well. Can they at least get Safro I don't think they can. This guy's inspired and he's going to work. Killing spree, flash one, next to go. Woo! Sapphire just going to town. They even knocked Piston into their own crystal. It's a ceremonial way to close out game number 1. Another 10-minute game in the back for Tiger WONG Esports. Just fast and furious.
Just looking ever ready and clean heading into this series as they secure themselves the first point of the best of 3. And now Team EVO will really have to go back to the drawing board as Tiger WONG Esports lead the way.
Not even remotely close in game 1.